I want to begin also by thanking Senator Blumenthal and his staff for their genuine, thoughtful, and robust engagement with me and my staff leading up to this markup. As we've all recognized, these are complex issues that affect nearly every American, and I can't stress enough how important it is that we take the time to get it right. Now, as I said, colleagues, at the last markup, my biggest consideration on antitrust and competition bills is their impact on consumers. And so I'm encouraged by these bipartisan efforts to rein in monopolistic practices and anti-competitive behavior. As we address these concerns, we need to be careful not to create or exacerbate other problems for consumers on issues like privacy, cybersecurity, and potential hate speech. Now, with respect to this bill, I agree with the sponsors that consumers do suffer from lack of competitive pressures on App Store operators. This allows some App Store operators to extract unreasonable fees and monopolistic fees from app developers, for example, which in turn get passed on to consumers, or it can even preclude app developers from offering consumers a particular product. I strongly support the goal of the bill to empower consumers with greater choice. And I appreciate the appeal of this bill in mandating that companies allow consumers to download app stores as well as third-party apps directly from a browser onto their devices. Now, when a product is as expensive as a popular game console or an iPhone, and your digital life is so intertwined with the company's suite of products, the lock-in effect is very real. Now, if your favorite app or your child's favorite app were to be kicked off the App Store, your enjoyment or your child's enjoyment of the device diminishes. That, too, is very real. Now, that said, I think it's also important to recognize that in seeking to empower consumers with greater choice, if we aren't careful, we might be taking away a choice from the marketplace that many consumers want when they used a closed device. Look, it's not hard to imagine that some consumers might prefer a closed device that provides a layer of security and helps them prevent from inadvertently downloading malware or spam. The manager's amendment attempts to address this concern by creating an opt-in model for side-loading third-party apps and using alternative app stores, and allows for the creation of warnings. Like, I think we all know someone who mindlessly ignores warnings related to cookies or terms of service. We should empower consumers with the ability to go beyond just warnings and instead give them the option to choose, if that's their choice, choose a more closed ecosystem. If consumers want to sideload apps from a browser, they should be allowed to, but they should do so knowing what that means and with meaningful privacy and security standards in place. Now, colleagues, I filed 2 amendments to this effect that I will not be taking up today, but I do look forward to discussing further with the bill sponsors after this markup. I also believe that there are ways to regulate the large fees that Apple and Google charge app developers, as well as the other anti-consumer practices of the App Store, without forcing consumers to give up the privacy and cybersecurity protections that they value. And I'll offer just a quick example. If a goal of this bill is to prevent app stores from taking gross commissions or payments from in-app purchases, there may be a simpler way, and that would be to just cap fees, Mr. Chairman, like you did with interchange fees in 2010 as part of Dodd-Frank, rather than us getting into the mechanics of payment processors. A lot of consumers appreciate having centralized payment processing and billing so they can quickly and conveniently dispute charges, cancel subscriptions, and limit the number of entities that have access to their financial information. Again, it's about consumer choice. And finally, I want to flag a concern that in trying to address the ability of App Store operators to limit the discoverability of third-party apps in Section 3E of the bill on page 4, we may be unintentionally providing an avenue for propagators of hate speech to dispute their placement within app stores. Mr. Chair, I'd like to enter a letter into the record from numerous nonprofit organizations that speaks to this.
Without objection.
I hope the bill sponsors will work with me and these groups to address these important concerns. Just in closing, I can't reiterate enough how much I appreciate the hard work and genuine consultation with me and other members that has gone into this legislation. I think we share a common desire of ensuring that we have an open and competitive app ecosystem that benefits consumers without jeopardizing their privacy and security. I look forward to supporting this bill moving forward, and I look forward to working with the bill sponsors to make further changes that address the concerns I've raised today. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thanks.